What was that like when your stepfather committed suicide?
Yeah. And, I just recently reread something that actually a better phrasing is to say died from suicide rather than saying committing.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I like
I like the phrasing too. It's a better energy.
Mm-hmm.
And, at that time, if I think about it, so it would have been 18 years ago or 18 or 19 years ago. And I went into shock. I was numb. I basically shut down, and I was numb for a very long time. There's a lot of disbelief that comes in. We were going through a pretty tumultuous time as a family. It was very stressful. I was very angry with him when he died. And so now all of a sudden, though, I'm in this situation of I didn't answer him when he called me. And then 2 days later, he's gone. I don't know what he wanted to say. Is it because I didn't answer that he pushed over the edge, right? Did I contribute to that? So there's a lot of survivor's guilt that comes into play. And at that time, mental health tools back then were not what they are now. It was also not really socially acceptable to talk about it. There's a bit of a shame that comes with, like, why didn't we know? How could we have helped? Were we the problem? All of that stuff, right? And that shut me down for a long time, which is also part of why I didn't write poetry or feel very connected, because I just couldn't be. I was very, very numb. I was a workaholic to escape emotions. I literally moved to Asia to get away from family, to not have to confront difficult things. I drank a lot, partied a lot, and then would dive into work the following week. And I didn't realize that I was still in my coping and complex PTSD until I came back and was around my mom, read When the Body Keeps the Score, and had some realizations of like these patterns that were deeply there. There was a breaking point, and then a decision to keep everyone this far away so that I would never get hurt again.
And what changed? When did you make the decision to let people back in?
That decision came after my divorce. I got married in 2018, separated a year later, final paperwork done in summer of 2020. And when I first met my ex-husband, we were on the same page in terms of our lifestyles. We were both competing in CrossFit, and I remember very clearly he asked me once early on in dating, Sarah, why do you like me? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be real honest. You live in Macau, I live in Hong Kong. I get to see you on the weekends. I get my space during the week. I'm emotionally unavailable, so it's perfect. And he's like, great, I got it. And he was older than me by just under 10 years, Australian male, also did not have tools growing up on how to process and handle his emotions, so extremely emotionally unavailable. And for anyone who's emotionally unavailable, that becomes safety, right? Because I don't have to worry about you getting too close and all of this. But then I started going through my journey of awakening, getting in touch with myself, coming back online, if you will, doing my healing work. And then I really wanted to be connected. But I was with someone who couldn't. And the agreements in the beginning were yeah, this is perfect because we're going to live on the surface. And then that became extremely painful because I wasn't seen by him or myself. And I tried to conform myself to fit the old mold. And that just wasn't possible to do. And so it was after that realization and having the conversation with him about the thought of doing that for another 40 years was I couldn't. And it wasn't fair to him either, right? And we were just on different paths. He's an excellent human, great person. He had his own work to do. And so after that, it was this journey of, well, who's Sarah? And who is Sarah without the title, the job, the salary, et cetera, right? All these things I worked for. I hit all my work, career, financial goals by 29. I got married at 30. Had this beautiful flat in Hong Kong overlooking both sides of the harbor, traveled all the time, on Instagram, and you talk to me, hear what I do, all the exotic things I got to do, you'd be like, wow, your life's amazing. And then that made it worse because I'm like, fuck, I actually am miserable, but now I have to pretend that I like it because otherwise I'm an asshole, right? I am experiencing things that many will never experience, even one of these trips in a lifetime, and yet here I am being ungrateful and my life sucks, oh, woe is me, get your head out of your ass, Sarah, right? And that was the decision, once I realized, I couldn't do this anymore, I have to be honest, I have to speak my truth. That was when I realized I need to learn what my truth is know that it, and then I, through that process, have learned that it's ever evolving. And that was like the work of putting boundaries in place, getting out of people pleasing and the gold star of validation from external sources, giving it to myself, and really relating. And so that I did a significant amount of work. But last year I realized I still had, like, think of like you watch Dune, or like where they have that suit and it activates like a shield that's just really close to them on their body, right? Or anything like that. You can imagine I have like a suit that you can't penetrate through, but it's very, very close.
Like
It's kind
Black
of
Panther.
Yeah, like Black Panther. And that's pretty much what I had. It was like very, very thin, but it still existed.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until last year, and realized again I had fallen into a similar pattern with the previous partner, but to a much lesser degree. So like with meditation, we're so used to the like gross sensations, the intensity of desire or enjoyment or excitement or thrill or adrenaline or grief, but we don't notice the level 2 version. And so it's like inflammation. You know when you've had a reaction to something because you're allergic to it, but when it's a small thing like sugar, and it's not until you cut it out for 30 days that you realize just how much that was impacting you, that's where I found myself. And I realized I had again slowly started to give away bits of myself to conform for safety, to like be, because this felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to go deeper. And yet I craved going deeper. And so, again, went through a bit of a metamorphosis last year and journey. And now my knees might be shaking. I might like be looking down and like fidgeting, but I will get my truth out. And my partner now is very patient and creates a safe space for me to be able to do that, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm realizing the more I do that, the more I can actually get the things that I desire out of life, because again, I'm tuning into what I want, not what I don't want. And instead of pretending that I like something, I can just say, I'm not into that. I don't want to go that way.